to know a little bit more about waste disposal, waste management, and the history of recycling in Maine. So I set up an interview with Vanessa Berry. Hi, Vanessa.
Hi.
And she's an educator at Eco Maine. So, Vanessa, can you tell
Yeah,
me a little bit about Eco Maine? What is it?
sure. So if you live in southern Maine, there's a very good chance that your trash and your recycling come to Eco Maine. We've got two really large buildings right in Portland. One is our waste to energy building. So we actually have a giant facility that takes trash. We burn it at 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit, so really hot. We take care of all the pollution, and we actually use that trash and that burning of the trash to make electricity. We use a little bit of that electricity to power all of our buildings, and then the rest of the electricity goes back into the grid and it can power people's homes. So just a little fun fact about that one. We also have two electric cars that are powered by trash. So if you ever see us driving around town in our little Nissan Leaf or our Chevy Bolts, they say it right on the side, but those cars are powered by garbage.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What is your job in Eco Maine?
Yeah, so I work for EcoMaine as an environmental educator. And basically, what that means is I'm responsible for going to all of our towns that send us stuff, and making sure that they know the rules so that they're not putting things that are really dangerous in the recycling, or making sure that they're doing the best thing that they can with each of the items they're trying to throw away.
What do you think people did before recycling happened?
Yeah, before we had recycling and before we had waste to energy technology too, before we could burn the trash, we mostly were dealing with our trash in landfills. So basically, we were just taking our trash and we were bringing it to, a lot of towns had their own town dump, is what they would call it. And so they would take their trash to the town dump and they would just dump their trash in these giant holes in the ground. They'd get it buried, and then it sits there for years and years and years and years and years. And one of the sad things about landfills is while there's some things that might biodegrade, they might break down in a landfill, it doesn't happen very often. So there's a lot of trash that's sitting in landfills from 30 years ago that's still there in the ground today. So we want to try to reduce, reuse, and recycle and keep the stuff out of the landfill so we can give it new homes. And, or if we're composting at home, we can create new soil instead of having it just sit in a giant trash mountain somewhere.
So, what do you think the future of the waste management looks like?
It could look like a lot of different things. One of the really cool things about waste management is that it always changes, and people are always going to make trash. So I think one of the things that I'd like to see in the future is a little bit more, working on the design of packaging and products to make them easier to recycle. I think we're starting to see that. I think we're starting to see a lot of more companies that are looking at recycling facilities and saying, hey, when we make this packaging, is this something that you guys want and can take? And if not, maybe they redesign it and make it better. And we're also seeing a lot of residents at home that are trying to be more mindful about what they throw away, and they're trying to compost more at home, which is amazing. So they're trying that, either by having a pile in their backyard that they just turn with a shovel, or maybe they bought one of those really fancy tumblers that spins. Or maybe they're trying composting at home with worms. They're letting worms eat their food. So we're seeing some really cool things. And this is a lot of this stuff is stuff that we were doing a really long time ago that maybe we just forgot or we didn't have the skills. And now we're trying to learn them all over again and kind of giving composting and recycling and all of that stuff a little reboot, and just trying to keep that stuff out of a landfill and save money in the process too, because especially in places like Portland, they're paying for all of that trash that they're throwing away. So people at home can save money by not making so much trash. So by composting, by trying to avoid buying things that come in packages that they have to get rid of in the trash, they're making different choices that help them save money, and it helps the environment too, which is great.
Thank you so much, Vanessa.
You're so welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming. This was so great to think about Maine's waste management and waste department. Eagle Maine is taking great strides in getting people to minimize garbage and recycle a whole lot more. I love hearing what Vanessa imagines for the future. But what I wonder is what you imagine. Trash isn't going to disappear on its own. It's up to us to figure something out.